Hey guys, Reaper here. As you can see by the apparel, yep, it's new DC time, and it's time for possibly the greatest superhero movie of all time, The Flash. I'm actually quite looking forward to this. The trailers have looked surprisingly good. Obviously, Ezra Miller is Ezra Miller, but whatever. This has looked pretty good. I do like Andy Muschietti, the director, so this should be a lot of fun, right? And hopefully, should end off the DCEU on a solid note. And out a banger rather than a whimper, because this franchise has been mismanaged to death. But yeah, head in, get my snacks, get my seat, and head off to Hawaii with Ezra. So yeah, I've got my popcorn here and red roasted Fanta, the same colour as the Flash's suit, ready to go across time with the fastest man alive. Greatest superhero movie of all time, you say? So yeah, The Flash. Just got back from seeing it. Obviously, I have to address the elephant in the room here, and that is the pre-release hype, because obviously Warner's was really trying to push the narrative that this is the greatest superhero movie of all time, and they were getting, you know, all manner of celebrities such as Tom Cruise, Stephen King, Jaden Smith, hell, even Mortal Kombat creator Ed Boon to sing its praises. Obviously, to do a bit of a number in drumming up hype and hopefully turn a bit of a tidy profit from their potential mega blockbuster. But does the film live up to all the hyperboles? Let's find out. So, in the film, Barry Allen has figured out a way to travel back in time through the Speed Force, and he figures out that he can potentially use this to prevent his mother's murder and also his father's wrongful imprisonment for it. However, when he goes back in time, what he ends up actually doing is creating a problem that could tear a potentially destructive hole in the fabric of time itself. And so, to put a stop to it, he teams up with an alternate version of himself, a Kryptonian named Kara Zor-El, and an alternate Batman. Okay, so you gotta look at it this way. On the one hand, you've got all these public figures dishing out all these hyperboles and and singing its praises. On the other hand, you've got comic book Twitter who, upon every leak and reveal, is just willing to tear this thing to pieces. And I'm just sitting here in the middle of it, and the movie is fine. Like, and an outcome that is going to be surprising to about three people. This is far from the greatest superhero movie of all time. But it's also a far cry from the worst, and there's plenty here that is entertaining, that ensured that I did at least have a decent time while watching. For one, the film moves at a brisk enough pace, so you're never bored watching it. And for the first two-thirds anyway, there's plenty of entertaining little flash moments, like a really solid opening action scene which features Ben Affleck's Batman, and also the weird image of that you've seen all over Twitter involving a baby in a microwave. You can't even make it up. To a really fun moment involving a really entertaining supergrass needle drop. At its heart, these first two-thirds are carried on wonderfully by by the heart of the film, Barry Allen. Obviously, I have to address the Ezra in the room here because, yes, they have done some horrible things, but if you're willing to separate art from the artist, yeah, Ezra's brilliant here. Like they have the screen presence to carry off that real sensitive balance between the sort of social awkwardness of Barry and the little moments of humor that entails, and also the weightier, more emotionally sincere moments. And Ezra sells it all with ease. And it also helps as well. The dynamic between the two versions of Barry is just wonderful and charming. Plenty of little moments of humor and heart between the pair of them. It carries along nicely through the first two acts. Also, a particularly noticeable aspect of these first two acts that's particularly strong is the inclusion of Batman, played by Michael Keaton, and Supergirl, played by Sasha Calle. Obviously, there's not really many surprises in regards to Keaton. Basically, most of his footage is in the trailers, but he's really good and has having a ton of fun back in the Kyle. And it's these scenes that are directed really well by Andy Muschietti, and it makes it clear why he is the choice to direct Brave and the Bold in the new universe. And also, I gotta give props to Sasha Calle for her performance as Supergirl. Yes, she is really, really good. She sells this darker, more intense emotional edge that Kara has. Because obviously, if you imagine, Superman was raised by a family that loved him, and his outlook on humanity reflects that. Supergirl, on the other hand, was imprisoned in a secret Russian black site with a much less favorable outlook on humanity, and there's plenty of rich emotional drama from that, and Sasha sells it really well. Even if some of the less great elements around her are kind of doing her great performance dirty. Honestly, I do want her to carry over into Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Probably won't happen, but hey ho, we can wish, right? Honestly, when these four are on screen together, the film just really clicks, and the second act in particular is just such a blast to watch, and I was really enjoying myself. There's plenty of really fun action scenes and plenty of fun little character moments between the four of them. Now, don't get me wrong, the first two acts do have their issues. Obviously, plot wise, it is kind of all over the place, but obviously, with the focus being Barry, it does keep itself on a focus track. And yeah, the CGI in the first two acts is pretty hit or miss. There's some really good looking shots, and there are some shots which like just take me right back to like Black Panther, the PlayStation 3 cutscene final battle. But the first two acts are the film at its strongest, and Muschietti's directing, pretty solid. Act 3, however, well, this is when at chapter 2, Muschietti rears his head because, obviously, if you thought the first two acts had unhinged moments, and believe me, they do, the final act just goes completely nuts. And it's honestly, it threatens to tear the film apart, much like Barry's time traveling antics threaten to tear the fabric of time apart. This final act nearly destroys the film. Jesus, I can see what they're going for in some parts in regards to paying off Barry's character arc, but it's done in an quite overly convoluted manner that you can tell they kind of wrote themselves into a corner and didn't know what kind of payoff they wanted to go for. And again, it also doesn't help that the CGI looks like complete ass. Like, I mentioned Black Panther there, but my god, it gets way worse than that because there are points in the time travel scenes where like it literally looks like a scene out of the Polar Express on crack. It looks horrendous. And I can't talk about the final act without talking about those cameos. Good Jesus. Like they, they're not cameos, they're just CGI puppets basically. And it doesn't help that again the CGI is really creepy, uncanny valley level bad, and and some of it just gets really weird and morally murky if you know the history of at least one of them. It, yeah, it's so bizarre. Like they're trying to go for like their end game or No Way Home, but of course, this being DC, they couldn't even deliver on that. Like it would be tragic if this franchise just wasn't so pathetic. But in saying that, I did have a decent enough time watching Flash. Some of the just unhinged nature of it does at least create some kind of entertainment, and there are moments of heart here that I enjoyed, and Ezra Miller really good, and there's the action is pretty fun. Yeah, it's not the best superhero movie ever, but it's not the worst either. It sits very firmly in the middle, and yeah, overall, Flash, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. So yeah, let me know down in the comments. Have you seen the Flash? What did you think of it? What did you make of the cameos? Without getting into spoilers, obviously. And yeah, let me know. Are you more hopeful for the new DC universe? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget the subscribe button if you're new. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.